Welcome back to another episode of the ABL review. This time we're talking about the East Division for Week 2. Hey, that kind of rhymed. So here we are. Week 2 matches are in the books. Let's hop into them. Interesting bunch of Week 2 matches here. So first thing we've got Curtis and the, hold on, I definitely know his new team name, Miami Palafins. Good logo. Just gonna take me a while to learn it. Taking on Gibran and the New England Pat Rats. Again, good name, good logo. So, by the way, somebody needs to tell me if they changed King Gambit's sprite. It looks different than it has recently. I like it less, but not the point. So not a lot. Okay, I'm still waiting for Curtis to do something with Mousehold. I don't think it's a good Pokemon. I think it's probably even over tiered. I don't remember putting it up in silver tier. If he paid silver tier for this, that's unfortunate because I don't think it's a good Pokemon. But anyways, let's hop into this game. Very defensive, and I keep wanting to be like, oh, this is like a really Gen 6 looking team, which is silly to say because I don't. We know it's just, but it's not the point. Let's move on. So let's hop into this. So we've got this Mousehold lead against Garchomp. That's pretty funny because that's like not the thing Mousehold wants to go up against, the thing that has Rough Skin, because it'll kill itself if it attacks. But we get this switch into Toxapex, implying that it definitely has Rocky Helmet. Kind of a bad switch for the for Braun though, because then Hattering comes in here. So Curtis kind of double covered in terms of things that, the potential outcomes of that turn. It was either Garchomp goes for an attack and Hat can eat it, or, this comes in. He's also covered there. Force out the floor, just Mystical Fire, good, is going to allow this Hatterene to be able to take on this floor just one bit. Or maybe later, apparently. I thought it was now. Sure, fire off that Moonblast, that's fine. The Iron Shreds is obviously going to threaten this thing out pretty well. Talonflame, doesn't get the burn this time. Definitely gets a burn later. And I know don't want to spoil anything, but you guys have seen the battle, right? You guys have seen the battle. Fires off a Will-O-Wisp here, and a return Will-O-Wisp. We're going to see a lot of things get burned in a lot of battles this week. Okay, let's speed this up a little bit. Iron Treads comes in here. That's a good switch for Curtis, puts him in a pretty good position. It's also like limited ground resist on the other side, probably have an opportunity to Volt Switch. Here's where he gets burned. That sucks. That kind of makes Florges probably a bigger problem, and honestly also Toxapex a bigger problem for the remainder of the team. You turn out, block to Volt Switch. I believe hazards go up here from Gibran. Okay, puts up a spike and gets Terra Blasted. Terrestrialization has been kind of an unpredictable beast as far as I'm concerned. Not like to a severe extent where it's like, oh, this is uncompetitive. How am I supposed to deal with this? But I don't know. I'm curious to hear what other people's thoughts are, because I also wouldn't mind a scaled back version in the future, because I just think it's unreasonable for someone to have been like, oh, that Rotom Wash is going to Terrastalize into Ice type and attack the Garchomp with Terra Blast. That's an unreasonable expectation to expect somebody to have, because it's not like that's something that happens on the ladder at all. So just curious what other people's thoughts are on it. I know it's still early. So resuming. Simeon comes in. Do we see a U-turn? Oh no, CC. Blocked pretty easily. Curtis starts the setup here with the Calm Mind, correct? Yes. Now, interesting position for him to be in, because I guess you have a free, I guess it's free to do it there, because, you switch out if the Bisharp comes in, if the Toxapex comes in, then you're in a good position to attack it. It's not a big deal, just take the boost where you can get him. I don't really get the, because after this he starts to set up more. I know he's not in danger, but also you can't really win from this position. I think it probably would have been better for him to start throwing off attacks. Let's speed this up just a little bit. So the Moonblast comes out, big 85% crit. That really sucks for Curtis, because him being in +3 SPDEF, that would have not done very much damage. That really sucks, because, that's the first move to come off. Like, when you set up and you start to, like, exchange stuff afterwards, it's like, you're taking a couple hits, you expect it to happen. On the first one, that really sucks. And I do think it's not like he wins from this position, because King Gambit could just come in and Iron Head and KO, because he's already used his Terra, so it's not like he can kind of block it with that. The Moonblast doing 85 right off the bat, and the Psychic not critting and catching the Wish. That's a bad position for Curtis to be in. Great one for Braun. And he fires off this Moonblast here, picks up the KO. Yeah, Curtis, I totally feel you here. I don't know. Again, it's not like an auto win from that spot, but it doesn't feel good. So moving forward, we got the Mouse Hold coming in. Toxapex coming in to counter it, shows off that Rocky Helmet. Earthquake coming out from the Toxapex is, or coming out on the Toxapex, and then him staying in. This is an interesting turn, because from where he was, Earthquake maybe has a chance to KO. Obviously, Curtis predicting the incoming Talonflame there, which I get. I'm not a huge fan of Jabron's choice to stay in, because this Toxapex really shuts down a lot of this team. And he's burning recovers. We see another player burn recovers and slack offs in a future match. And I just do think it's something people need to be a little bit more cognizant of. I'm willing to give Jabron some rope because he hasn't played this before. But I am impressed with how well he's using Toxapex. Toxapex is something we've seen less experienced players really thrive with in the past. So it's interesting to see it happening again here. Toxapex is in a great position where it can just Toxic Stall out this Salamence here. But, at the cost of quite a few recovers, for sure. Let's get past this. This is an obvious Volt Switch. Mouse Hold comes in there. Okay, but it wasn't really Mouse Hold. I kind of forgot about this, caught me off guard there. Going for the U-turn earlier. So what did it take damage on? Probably Spikes? Spikes, that's what it was. Focus Blast, this was actually the Mouse Hold, but it's funny because his check for the Mouse Hold is the same check that he would have had for Zoroark anyways. And I don't know, there's just not a lot to say here, because I think Curtis even throws it in the chat here in a little bit where he's like, I can't win. And he's right, just the bulk of Florges plus Toxapex, there's not enough on his team to really be able to break through this. I think he's going to go ahead and sack the Iron Treads here. I mean, hoping for a crit on the Volt Switch, obviously. Oh, throws up a Wish. Probably not necessary. Oh, passes to... like any of that. Like it. But he did obviously read the Zoroark correctly there, so I'll give him credit for that. Obviously this Earthquake's not going to do much because the Iron Treads is burned. Chilling Water KOs it. Switcheroo, I kind of like that. I mean, like, here's this Flame Orb, so that way, like, I think you'd probably want to use that. I think the intent was likely to get around maybe Sucker Punches from King Gambit, or maybe it was just to do this. Either way, I think that's probably it's a pretty nice play. Tidy Up. I had made a prediction at the beginning of the season that Household would have more feints than it had hits taken. That is unlikely to be true now, because I think it took 2 hits in this battle just because of the Chilling Water. I like the Baton Pass there. That's a good attempt. But the Haze right there was a good play. I don't think it mattered really in this in how this was going, but I'm gonna put this on hyper fast. You can see the rest of the battle. Jabron's never really in any danger for the last like 20 plus turns of this battle, because the crit earlier in the match was really lucky, but also I think he had a really good matchup here. I don't know. I don't think Curtis played bad either. I think he just, this is a hard combination to break through. He did a good job of catching the Garchomp off guard. Obviously, he eventually got the Florges, which probably would have been fainted if he hadn't gotten crit on the Hatterene. Did Hatterene show? It showed Psychic, not Psyshock, so maybe that might have been a little bit of an exchange because Florges does have Wish, so it's got more longevity than Hatterene. But we'll never know. But Jabron comes away with his first win in league play. I think he had a pretty good, he did a decent showing last week. Who did he play last week? Somebody remind me. He is New England. He played Logan last week, and he didn't have a bad showing by any means in that game. So, you know, I'm impressed with what I've seen from Jabron. Looking forward to where else he can go. Moving on to our next battle, we've got Zheng taking on Tyler. Two absolutely unpredictable players. Let's see where we go from here. Sun goes up right away. Got the hard volt switch on the Magnezone. Does a pretty good amount of damage. And immediate burn on the Gallade here. That is definitely unfortunate. You can see that Psycho Cut's not doing a lot of damage. As the... What's it called? Okay. By the way, that's a crit. Right, okay. Damn, that did a lot of damage, but it was a crit going through the attack. Torkoal's already getting pretty low. The sun is not long for this world, but it does seem that we're trying to probably get a rain thing going too. Rain doesn't have as good of a match as the sun, so I probably would have tried to preserve the Torkoal a little bit longer. But he does manage to get the Sticky Web up, which might come into play here. Great Tusk comes out, and a Headlong Rush does just an insane amount of damage, especially the Photosynthesis boost that slows down just a little bit. Nice matchup for Azumarill here. Life Orb Azumarill, not something you see super often. It does a good amount of damage to Great Tusk. So Zheng comes in here and actually gives some rain to Azumarill, which is kind of funny. Knockoff doesn't KO, which allows it to not faint from the Play Rough, and then also, because the rain is up, puts it in range of an Aqua Jet. Very strange set of circumstances there. And then also we did miss out on the Life Orb Jingle. Would have gotten it. It's very disappointing. Very close. So Floatzel comes out, easy, gonna pick up a KO there. This was one of the more surprising calcs that we had come out here. I legitimately felt that this Magnezone's gonna die. I've seen so many choice banded, adamant, Floatzels in the rain. I'm like, this is definitely going to kill. So this was max defense Magnezone. I don't know what in the world that's for other than this. Able to live the hit. Also, I don't think that's banded or adamant Floatzel. I'm shocked at how little that did, honestly. But Thunderbolt picks up the KO. Big disaster averted here. Tyler finds himself in a pretty decent spot, all things considered. Like, this Great Tusk is still a bit of an issue, but it's on pretty low HP. So he's gonna have to use Terra to get around this because ground weakness, fighting weakness, ground and fighting weakness. But if he can get a Pokemon that can Terra into a type that isn't weak to ground or fighting, he's in a decent position. So let's move on here. Headlong Rush KOs the Magnezone. What comes out next? The Wo-Chien. Okay, this is one of those situations where if he can Terra and KO this Great Tusk here, he's in a good spot. But also, he might just be able to live this hit anyways, I'm not sure. What comes out here? Ruination, half health, and then I think it picks up a KO right after. Stun Spore, that's weird. He's taking a decent amount of damage on the Lava Plume. I don't know if he has some... Yeah, should have just knocked off before. Don't like that play there, but still relatively healthy Wo-Chien. Also, the Terra thing could still potentially help you out. Okay. Craziest thing ever, and I'm glad Brett pointed it out to me because we were watching this live when it happened. I didn't notice the special attack boost on the Slitherwing. I've also gotten some flack for calling out a specific person on Twitter. No, it was more of a general statement because 2 people this week ran Bug Buzz on a Pokemon with notably higher attack than special attack. Zheng did this is a design intent. I don't understand it. I don't like his decision to stay in here, first of all, because this is a bug type and a fighting type. This has no move that can hurt a very specially defensive Dragalge. Dragalge is very specially defensive. It could have easily eaten up that Bug Buzz. It should have done so. Because now we're in a situation, you know what, we're not going to run a calc. We don't have to run a calc. So he terrestrializes Ice, takes this Bug Buzz. He would have taken half of that. He would have taken 20%. He'd be at 60% on Dragalge. And he fired off Terra Blast, which does... I was going to say it does less damage than Dragon Pulse. It does comparable damage. I guess there wasn't a way for him to KO outright anyways. There's no reason to terrestrialize here. This saves you nothing. You actually, like, lose the type advantage. Not good. The Life Orb coming out, I don't know, yeah. Lives the next Bug Buzz because it no longer has the boost from the sun. Now it's on low HP. It can't switch out and come back in. It'll faint to Stealth Rocks. And he's also burned his terrestrialization, so he can't change the type on Skeledirge. So he dies to, we still got the jingle. Oh shit, guys, give me a second. Let's see if I can do some live editing here.
How many kills did Life Orb get this
That's pretty good, I think. Yeah, we got the jingle. Life Orb got a KO, so we'll have to mark that down in the sheet. Let's do it now so we don't forget about it. Okay, nope, it's on the MVP list. Boom, 1 for Life Orb, well done. We'll revisit this list in a minute. So, yeah. I think there was, and then this thing takes Stealth Rock damage, so even if he's like full Fizz Def, this Great Tusk is definitely going to take him out from here. Really disappointing because, especially with the Terra Ground Headlong Rush, definitely going to take him out there. I don't think Tyler played badly. He doesn't understand terrestrialization, clearly. That's going to take some time. But I don't think Zheng played super well either. Maybe I'm curious if he's feeling that this team isn't doing the things he intended it to do. Curious for some feedback on that, because I don't think he's found his footing with the team. It's a short season, so you gotta try to get a team that you have footing, like you can find your footing with. After that, we've got Brett taking on Connor. Brett and the Seattle Marinis versus Connor and the Storm Lake Dracozolt. I keep looking at Brett's team and I'm just like, hey, I know those guys, because I have some of them. Now, I did he had asked me earlier in the week any input I had, because some of these Pokemon are really fucking scary. But I suggested to him the defensive Breloom, and we're gonna see how it plays out in this. Brambleghast comes in, obviously a bad starting matchup. Clearly here, Connor doesn't know that this Crocolore gets unaware because he goes for a second bulk up in front of it. I know that Crocolore can't really threaten him too well, but I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Now the problem with Ditto when copying unaware mons, or sorry, not unaware, NFE mons is difficult because you don't have their Eviolites. You're obviously weaker. You don't have any other benefiting things. But a really interesting thing that happens here is that the Yawn comes out, okay? And then a Flamethrower comes out. So this is non-scarfed Ditto. Not something I've really seen much of at all. I don't know what is Ditto's, maybe heavy duty boots or leftovers. I don't even know if we were able to find that out. But this Breloom immediately gets knocked down to 13% HP, able to throw off the Spore. So we know it's not safety goggles, but it's able to start getting some HP back. And Brett capitalizes and goes for Earth Power, clean KOs the Ditto. Not the best use of Ditto, especially against a team that's got setup potential. I really think he should have done a better job holding on to Ditto. I would love to know what the item on it was. Now Scarada comes out, big threat for this team, but Crocolore is able to come in, really eat up that the Flower Trick. Maybe potentially risking a knockoff, but it was able to deal with it. This is kind of also what Breloom was designed to check, was the Tinglu. So ended up working out there pretty well. And he's just able to fight. So Sandy Shocks here is able to start firing off Earth Powers. Nothing's off the ground, so he's going to be able to at least chip everything. Plus, with the Stealth Rocks up, he's going to be able to work all that out. What did I say? Oh yeah, the light screen Tinkaton isn't really something I've seen much of, and plus there's only one special attacker on this team. So that was, you know what, Zeng? Fair question being so baffled. Because I don't really get it either, but, you know, here we are. Bram's going to come out and just get some HP back, especially, yeah, like the Leech Seed and the Toxic Heal. This was at 13% at one point. It's up to 71. The Glaive Rush does a shit ton. Excalibur is very threatening for this team. And this is maybe, I would say it's a good chance to set up if this Crocolore wasn't able to just eat all of these hits. Tinglu's going to come out, it's only burned the initial turn of sleep. Crocolore is getting up healthy again. Like, that's the tough part about Crocolore is you need to get up rocks versus it, because then it can't just switch in all the time. Like, it has to hold Eviolite, so it can't hold heavy-duty boots. Fire types are significantly worse defensive Pokemon if they are taking hazard damage. So, something to consider if you're facing a Crocolore in the future. Tinglu with Taunt. Actually, pretty good set here. There, he finally got up the rocks. Focus Punch goes off, does a good chunk to Tinglu. Ramblegas is going to come out, obviously try to spin. Counter blocks that pretty well going into Cerule Edge. I don't know how intentional that double switch was. He might have just been trying to catch the Breloom. But it worked out. Easy time switching to Crocolore, but obviously it's significantly less healthy because it had to take those rocks this time. Just getting a little healthy again. And he can burn through more of those slack offs faster if, you know, that happens. If you force it to take rocks damage over. I don't like this play because you could have still blocked that rapid spin by going into Cerule Edge. He wasn't going to go for a ghost move on that turn against Tinglu. And also now this thing's faster than you. I mean, it could have stayed in some good damage. You are able to get rid of that Eviolite. That's good, but it's harder. It's going to be hard to get your rocks up, especially when Yawn comes out. Because now it's like, do I want Tinglu to go to sleep? Rocks up? Okay, he didn't even do that. He just went hard into Bramblegas, took 0 damage for that Earthquake, and Tinglu's asleep. Drops to a Power Whip. Brett's in the driver's seat right now. Oh, I love this. I love this here. Because Baxcalibur is a big threat if it sets up, especially considering the Crocolore is down to 67%. We can't really switch in on a Glaive Rush or something. Glaive Rush, Glaive Rush, how do people say it? It's probably Glaive. That's how I should be saying it, but it also has an I in it, so I want to enunciate that. The move where in game he flips over and like charges back first. We'll say that. A little wordy, but I love the switch into Reverum here, because the only move that Baxcalibur has that can KO a Reverum for full is Earthquake. Maybe it gets a fighting move or something like that. Actually, no, fighting's not super effective. I keep thinking this is fire type or something for some reason. I don't think it carries a psychic move, and even if it did, it's neutral. Yeah, the only move he has that can one-hit KO Reverum is Earthquake. I guess fire move. But since he's on a balloon, it's fine. So if he sets up here, he has to go for Dragon Move or Ice Move, which he resists, to pop the balloon, in which case Iron Head can easily KO. But, like right here. So we went for the Dragon Dance. He can't afford to stay in or else he'll faint. Iron Head goes off. Maybe there's a roll there where you can get the KO, but also you don't want to mess with potential weird speed tiers and then risk having your balloon broken, because the Baxcalibur is still a threat. Ninjax comes in as the Earth Power, light screen and all that. It does get the drops, so that's nice, but these screens are going to be up for at least a little bit. But you're going to run the same play here. Glaive Rush, Glaive Rush, breaks the balloon. Look how much that did. That's a resisted hit. Against a Pokemon, I don't think it's even got bad defenses. That's a strong Pokemon. So if he got 2 Dragon Dances up, there's a chance he KOs him with a Glaive Rush. But he is behind the screens, but since he takes double damage since Glaive Rush is up, the screens means he only takes neutral damage, so he's going to go down to the Iron Head there. Big win for Brett there. Parting shot out. It will bring Crocodile very safely. She's going to go ahead and get healthy here, I would assume. Turns into a fire type. Get him in. I don't really think so. Another bulk up. Really not helping him here. Yeah, Saint Shock's going to be able to come in and just kind of fire off attacks. There's not really any risk. Even if the Meowscarada comes in, he's got an easy check to that in the little baby crocodile here. Easy win for Brett. Played really well. I don't think, like, Connor definitely made some misplays. I really think he was, for the most part, outplayed here. Maybe he underestimated Crocodile, or maybe we've absolutely missed the boat on what tier this thing should be in. Yeah, I think that's probably at least part of it. I think that probably needs to... because we also have another game this week that displays Crocodile pretty... But it's time to move on to our marquee match of the week.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
This week, we've got Logan and the Alabama Crimson Hive taking on the Texarkana Toxics, coached by Papcode. Really interesting leads here. Is that right? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? Yeah, Cyclozar versus Glamora. Yeah, I like the taunt here. Try to keep the hazards off the field, but then we obviously get the knockoff right away. Sets up the hazards. Power Jump comes out, does a lot of damage. Glamora is not weak by any stretch of the imagination. These Power Jumps are doing pretty good damage. I don't think that's Spidef. Right now it is Spidef Corviknight. Just Glamora's that strong, and it's one of the few Pokemon where Power Gem like makes sense to run. So we see quite a few turns here of just Roost bulk up, trying to like, I don't know if it's stall it out. I don't really get the plays by Logan here. I think he'd be better off. Oh wait, did the Rock Slippery went up? Are they there and I just can't see them? Okay, yeah. It's like, where are the Toxic Spikes? They're behind the Corviknight apparently. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so we got a bunch of turns of this Power Gem, like, roosting, and, you know, hazards start to go up, and he has... Logan's burned through quite a few of his roosts already, and he continues to do so, which is kind of crazy, because Charizard just comes out and can threaten the Corviknight out right away. So, he really... not a lot gained. Get a Rapid Spin, clear these hazards. That's very good. That's very important for the rest of the team. Don't want them taking the Toxic Spike in particular. Dazzling Gleam, so this is a very Spidef Arboliva. Arboliva's cool because, like, if the Grassy Terrain isn't hurting it, which usually it's not, that was a bad play by Papco, objectively. It can keep a lot of, like, it stays pretty healthy because it's getting leftovers plus Grassy Terrain recovery. If it gets up a Leech Seed, it's getting back probably close to a quarter of its health on every turn. So it can stay pretty healthy pretty easily. Iron Moth comes out. So, I'm going to talk about this for a second. Logan made a miscalc. He figured out that this was fully Spidef Arboliva. But then when he went to calc against it, he calced that with the booster energy, that he accidentally calced against max HP, max special attack instead of max HP, max special defense. He thought that Flamethrower would KO. Obviously, he went for Flamethrower in case the Goldengo wanted to come in on what looks like an obvious Sludge Wave. Which to that, I would say, I don't care if Goldengo comes in, Flamethrower at the next turn. That'd be my assessment. So he stays in here and he goes for a Flamethrower. 84% living on 8%. That does mean that, and Logan calculates after to confirm, Sludge Wave would have KO'd the Arboliva. So, I mean, based on the calc he was looking at, Flamethrower was the right play, but he calced wrong. So it's just unfortunate that he still had an out even with a bad calc. And just immediately dies to Earth Power. I like Iron Moth. We've seen, you know what? We've seen uneven performances from it. So we'll see if that changes once we get over to the West. I think it does. Maybe, I hope I'm not hyping something up that didn't actually happen. Dugtrios had quite enough of this and decides to Terrasilize Ice and KO the Arboliva. And honestly, from here, Dugtrio has kind of a nice matchup. So we'll have to see what happens. Quaquaval comes out. I really like this set from Quagsire, or sorry, from the from Quagsire being water absorbed, so that way this thing can't Aqua Step and get fast. I think that's really key. If he was unaware, that would have been game over, I think, for Logan. Glamora comes out on an Earthquake. That means Toxic Spikes are going to go up, but I don't think it matters a ton for this team. I think regular Poison isn't the end of the world. We get Flying Goldengo. We saw that Logan didn't have pressure earlier, and that's because he had Mirror Armor, so that way it's not like reflecting the Spadef drops back isn't like the big deal, because who cares if Goldengo's stats special defense is dropped versus Corviknight. It's just so that way Corviknight can't get its stats dropped. I think that's a smart tech, because pressure might have helped out a little bit with the whole Power Gem struggle here, because how many he used 8, he'd be down to 16. Like, it would have made a difference, but like just numbers wise, the Mirror Armor is really smart here, because he definitely would have been 2-hit KO'd if he had taken that special defense drop. So well done there, he's able to roost up, but the unfortunate thing is he's already burned up 3 roosts earlier, and he just had to burn up a bunch more here. And the Charizard's back out, so not a lot you can do about that. Espeon comes in, takes this big overheat. I also like I want to talk about it for a second, I like the overheat play, because if Quagsire comes in on an overheat, it ignores the stat drops. If he had gone for Flamethrower there, this Espeon lives and is able to fire off an attack against something. And you don't really have that great of resists. This overheat was a very good play there. Life Orb is kind of wild to see on Charizard, but you know. Now, here's an interesting thing. And I don't know if Papcoon was aware of this, or if he's just like, yeah, I don't need Charizard anymore. So I'll educate everybody. Arena Trap does not prevent flying or levitating Pokemon from being trapped. Less important with the Charizard, because I think sacking it there was the right play. It was significantly more important later. Quaquaval comes out. Earthquake's not going to KO it from here. Logan is, I think, Adamant Expert Belt. So, yeah. Quagsire's in. I think he's just going to have to recover up, right? Stay healthy, because you want to be able to make sure that Aqua Stepper can't get stepping too fast. Goldengo's going to come out. Same thing we've seen before, but this Corviknight's on borrowed time here. I don't know if he had other moves. Like, Thief seems like, because he goes for Thief here right before he goes down, because there's no point anymore. Kind of a weird option. But here's where the Dugtrio comes in and KOs the Goldengo with Terra Blast Ice. Papcoon easily could have switched here. He easily could have gone into Quaquaval, and he could have fired off a close combat and 2-hit KO'd an incoming Quagsire and won. He puts himself in a bad position here by not knowing how Arena Trap works. And also, even if he was still a Steel Ghost type, he's still not trapped, because Ghosts can't be trapped by anything, whether it be Fire Spin, Shadow Tag, Wrap. Definitely not Wrap, because it can't even hit them. But get it. That puts Logan in a pretty decent position here, because I mean, well, you'll see what happens, because Quaquaval comes in, makes a lot of sense. He's gonna have to go for close combat. He's got to go for 2 of them. It's gonna KO. I mean, he could U-turn, which would have been an okay play there. It wouldn't have KO'd, but he would have kept it low. Dugtrio is gonna come in. Now at the -2 attack, defense, Earthquake is gonna be able to KO. Now, calculating this in real time, I'm like, okay, if you Scarf Hydreigon, he's won, or it's a roll with Expert Belt, Adamant, Terra Blast, Ice to KO Hydreigon. But Papcoon was Spadef Hydreigon or Max HP, I don't remember which one it was, but able to hold on there. So, well played, Papcoon. I think there were some small mistakes made, well, definitely bigger mistakes for Papcoon, because he potentially let his Charizard and Goldengo go down. But a well-played early game. Glamora really forces people to play in weird ways against it, because you don't want the hazards to be up, obviously. And with a Focus Sash, you're probably getting up at least Stealth Rock, if not also Toxic Spikes. And you have ways to keep them off the field with Goldengo. I think this was played pretty smartly by Papcoon. barring a couple of mistakes. But he was in the driver's seat for most of this game. I do think maybe things probably go a little bit differently if the Iron Moth calcs correctly and is able to KO the Arboliva. It's got a really good matchup for the rest of the Mons here. But, you know, we're going to go based on what actually happened, and that's Papkin coming away with a good win. So that's it for matches in the East. Now we're going to... I teased it before. Oh, I didn't... It's filled out. All of them filled out? One match, two match, 3 matches, 4 matches. Okay, wait, let's... Dougie got 4... Okay, we're going to do this live, everybody. Sorry. Doug Trio is your MVP of the week with 4 KOs here. So, nicely done. Doug Trio. Guard got 6 KOs last week. Didn't do anything in the match this week, but Salamence got 6 KOs the previous week, still up there. Espion sneaking up the list. Meowscarada doing well. No like big breakout stars this week. How come Doug Trio's not on this list? Right, can you... Oh, because he hasn't updated it. I forgot that has to be done, like, analog. I don't want to do it right now. I'll work on it after the podcast is done. But there's that. Let's look at the standings. Only 1 undefeated team and only 1 winless team. So things are really up in the air in the East, especially because there's still 5 weeks left, so plenty of time for changes to happen. Let's look at the schedule. This upcoming week, we've got Logan taking on Curtis. That ought to be exciting. We've got Texarkana Toxics taking on Jabron. It's also good. So we have 6 teams that are 1-1, all facing each other. And then we have Brett versus Tyler, the 1 undefeated team versus the 1 winless team here in the East. Who knows? Tyler has 6-0'd Brett in the past twice? Oh, god damn. Oh, that's embarrassing, everybody. That was impossible to look at. How bad did that look? I'm sorry. I'm not going to re-record it, though, so... there wasn't a lot to look at on the MVP's page. You got to see the battle in like, well-framed detail. That's embarrassing. Okay, but that's what we got. But that's the end of things for the ABL East Division. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.